So in today's video, I'm going to talk about the backswing. And this video is going to be about my swing and the reason why I don't do a full backswing. Let me explain. The video has been prompted by a couple of students of mine that I've gone out on the golf course and played with them, and they've noted two things. One, it doesn't look like I try to hit the golf ball too hard. And two, it never looks like I'm trying to do a full backswing. I would say that's pretty true. Now, we need to be careful with this because I'm not suggesting that if you are somebody who has aspirations of being a much better golfer, distance is going to be the avenue for you to progress with. However, what we want to do is move efficiently, and that's what this video is obviously going to be talking about. Now, I would say there's a couple of things that are really important that I know I do in my backswing. The first one is I keep the trail leg flexed, and I always make sure that I rotate and I turn into my leg. So I always know I'm using my right leg as a platform to turn into, so I'm storing up energy underneath it so I can use it to fire off. Okay. The second thing that I always know that I do is I'm always trying to apply width. And this basically just means I'm trying to always feel like I'm pushing my arms away from the side of my body. Now, getting both of those motions to happen, which is a push and a resistance, to me makes my backswing feel more like a stretch. Okay. So rather than having just a very long sort of fluid swing like so and like so, has never been something that's massively appealed to me. I much prefer the idea and play much better and more consistent golf, getting the feeling of pushing the arms away from me and turning correctly in towards this side. So that then means that I don't end up sort of doing a full swing. I end up doing what would be known as a kind of shorter swing, but it still has enough power and speed in towards my swing. So if I sort of show you what I could be maybe potentially capable of in terms of a full swing, would be more like so. Now, theoretically, maybe that one, because I'm getting more leverage, could produce more club head speed. But like I said to you, for me, okay, this swing here is more than enough, okay, in terms of the length of the golf swing. So what I didn't want to do today is get too lost on some of the data, because we can do that in a future video on the channel in terms of how I get the most out of a short swing. And if you guys are interested in knowing that, obviously just let me know, and that's something that I'll work on. But what I wanted to do is just talk again about the idea of, if you were going to go a shorter swing, what you should be feeling. Getting yourself a bit of rope is an absolute no-brainer, okay? So for students that I work with online, and for the members of the people that I speak to on the website, I always encourage them to do this. Now, the first thing you want to do is you want to take hold of the rope, okay, to the length of your left arm, like so. So you'll end up with a bit of surplus. You can obviously cut that off, but do whatever with it. I'll leave it hanging for today so you guys can just sort of see how rough and ready this drill can be performed. Now, when I swing back, you can hopefully even hear that. Okay, so my hand is always pushing the club away, like so. But can you see the way I keep my upper arm nice and connected to the side of my body? So I'm not trying to do this. Okay, now I could potentially do that, which might give me a bit more distance, but to me, this position here is enough. I always feel like I am pushing the club horizontally to the side of my body like so. I'm not trying to lift it any higher than that, because I always feel that if I was to get this upper arm more disconnected from my body, then I feel like I would struggle with that downswing sequence. I'd really have to work hard on bringing that upper arm back to the side of me, whilst if I can just swing back so far, the upper arm relationship is so much easier. So if you get lost in your swing, get yourself a bit of rope and just make some practice swings where you feel the tension there. You can turn and you can feel the tension there, and all of a sudden you can start making your backswing feel a little bit more like a stretch and a little bit more like you're creating resistance, and it will take away the need of you having to feel like it's some long fluid motion, and you can feel like it's a bit more like a sprinter in the block. Now, if you accompany that feeling with this, which is my foot wedge, okay, so if I plonk that foot wedge down there and put my trail foot on it, and now incorporate both of those feelings, so this staying flexed, turning into that as I stretch, I feel like I've got loads of energy. Now, my last point to you really, and this is where I'd get you guys thinking about it, is, and I say this to all the golfers that I meet who struggle with the concept of width. So if you imagine you're going to throw a ball, you're doing that, okay? If I was going to throw a ball, I'm not kind of doing this and this and this. there's so far where you would take it back so you can then throw that ball through. Imagine another sport, tennis. You're setting yourself, so you're getting good width so you can turn through. And that's what you want to do. You want to be getting that sort of feeling of width in the backswing. Now, my last point, and this is where it comes together, is I want you to think about the relationship to your sternum. So in the backswing position, I get my hands feel like they are stretching away from my sternum, and this encourages me to stay very nice and centralized. And then as I start my downswing, I move with my body, so it feels like I'm stretching the distance out between my hands and my sternum, which creates even more force to really whip it through. So if you're interested in swinging shorter, maybe a little bit more powerful, we've seen it with the likes of people like Hogan and stuff in the past, Rahm, Tony Finau, golfers that don't make such a conscious effort to swing as long, then what I'm trying to say is that's great, and you can do that, and that's what I end up doing. But the answer is not just swing shorter if it's got no power. You have to be thinking about stretching, you have to be thinking about pushing, you have to be thinking about loading, and you have to be thinking about rotating, because all of a sudden then that's how you can have a shorter swing, which is theoretically more powerful, which again, maybe we can talk about in more detail if you guys want to hear about it in a future video. For now, if you need me, you know where I am. I'll see you soon.